Do you ever wonder what would happen if...
If you give a dad a podcast.
I'm what you call a nerdy fan. I nerd out at this stuff hardcore.
You'll hear me talk about anime on here. You'll hear me talk about Power Rangers. You'll hear me talk about wrestling on here.
Okay.
I had an axe handle with a Twisted Tea on it. It was right after that Twisted Tea video went viral. And man, they went out and grabbed it and smacked a dude in the head with it. It was so...
That's great. I'd like to think of this podcast as a nostalgia moment for me. It's a show where I can talk about whatever I want.
I'm a human animal chiropractor. There was a picture of me. It looked like I was on the side of a ramen box over in China. But
So I took my kids with me to Comic-Con.
I thought that was really cool.
Well, I don't know if my wife should listen to this podcast.
We'll cut that part out.
You hope. Be like, and then Robert said this.
If You Give a Dad a Podcast. Available now on all podcasting platforms.
Did you ever wonder what could have been with the AWA had things gone differently? Had their fortunes gone differently? Had certain wrestlers not left and perhaps more money would have been at the disposal of the Gagnes? Well, wonder no further. You can go to Brad Drake's YouTube channel and experience the 1987 Supermod for yourself, as Brad Drake starts off in May 1987 along with Greg Gagne, Baron von Raschke, Vern Gagne himself, Nick Bockwinkel, Larry Zbyszko, Kurt Hennig, and a slew of others as he plays and saves the AWA.
Hello everyone, this is Brian Ferguson, the host of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. I want to tell you about a new podcast out called Fouls Count Anywhere. It is a classic pro wrestling podcast that brings you the legends of wrestling with true wrestling fans Chris DiCarlo and Charlie Turner. They bring on guests that are legends in this business, and as well as wrestlers of today, promoters, referees, you name it. They have them on there, folks, and I encourage you to listen to them. If you're on YouTube, watch them. They drop every Saturday. They have their podcast. They drop it in the afternoon. So look forward to that podcast coming out. Falls Count Anywhere podcast with Chris DiCarlo and Charlie Turner. Folks, you will not be disappointed. I guarantee it. And enjoy the podcast. Hey everyone, this is Brian Ferguson, the host of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. We are on here today because of you, viewers and watchers like you. In order to continue the podcast, we need to monetize our YouTube channel so we can get guests on that require financial compensation. That's where viewers like you come in. If you subscribe today, we can get that number up to 1,000. And as an incentive, the 1,000th subscriber will receive a free t-shirt just like this and receive a book from the legendary George Shire on his Minnesota Golden Age of Wrestling, from Vern Gagne to the Road Warriors, signed by George Shire himself. So please get on there, tell your friends to subscribe today, and when you hit that 1,000 mark, you're going to get a t-shirt like this. I'm going to reach out to you. You're going to be coming on the show as a guest and receive that book, The Minnesota's Golden Age of Wrestling, from Vern Gagne to the Road Warriors, signed by George Shire. So get on there today, subscribe, and please enjoy the podcast. Welcome to another edition of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. I'm Brian Ferguson. My guest today is one of the greats from the 1980s and 90s. He is best known for his time in the NWA, where he's a former two-time World Tag Team Champion with Rick Rude, Dusty Rhodes, and in the AWA with his feud with Wahoo McDaniel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the Ragin Bull, Manny Fernandez. Manny, thanks for coming on Bumps and Thumps today. Really appreciate it.
What's up, brother? A lot of bumps and thumps going on around the world, ain't there?
Indeed there is, my friend. Thank you again for coming on today. I sure do appreciate it.
Ain't no problem.
All right, Manny, let's talk a little bit about growing up, your childhood.
I know you grew up, I believe, in Texas and California. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I grew up as a normal kid with, parents and stuff like that. I just grew up in tough little neighborhoods because we didn't have a lot. Father and mother raised basically nine kids, and had two sets of twins in our family, and I was the oldest son, so I had to watch over my kids, my kid brothers and sisters. I had three older sisters above me, but I had to learn to take care of them at a young age, especially when you grow up in places like Horseshoe Barrio. The barrio is almost kind of, that's what we call it. Some people call it ghetto, some people call it other things. Some people, in our neighborhood, it was a barrio. Okay. And we grew up with a bunch of other kids, that are Hispanic families with lots of kids, and you grow up and you make your own football teams and baseball teams because everybody's got a lot of kids in their family, and you go around playing other people, and you learn to be tough right off the back. I mean, you learn how to, get respect and give respect. They don't give it to you, you earn it. So I kind of came up that way and stuck around the barrio and learned how to fight. And actually, my sisters were better fighters than me.
Oh,
I had to learn how to fight from them.
Okay.
That's the truth, man.
I believe you.
Older sisters are pretty daggone tough. So that's how I grew up from playing sandlot football and baseball and just wrestling around and fighting with the other guys that you loved, that you grew up with since you were kids and shared your little life with there in the barrio. And you learn how to become an athlete. I learned how to become an athlete, and God gave me my mom said God gave me a special ability to excel in almost every sport I did, competed in: baseball, wrestling, and football. So I was pretty daggone good in most of those, thanks to God, because I did excel in those sports from Pop Warner to junior high to high school to college. So I was pretty lucky. I was pretty lucky I didn't end up like a lot of guys. As you got older in the barrio, a lot of guys got into bad shit, and they ended up getting locked up in juvenile and then going on to prison. I got lucky and started playing sports at a young age, and it kept me out of that trend. The guys in my neighborhood that I grew up with, a lot of them ended up in San Quentin and stuff. But, it's a tough upbringing.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like
tough love.
Yeah, tough love, yeah. Yeah, so you went to college. You went to the famous West Texas State, where a lot of those wrestlers.
No, but you're getting ahead of yourself. Man.
Okay.
I was out of high school. I got recruited by 27 Pac-10 schools.
Okay.
To go play
Let's
football.
talk about that.
And wrestle, and I was two-time state champion wrestler out of Lincoln High School in San Jose, California.
Okay.
I got recruited for wrestling and stuff. My mom got diabetes at a young age, and she was real sick. So I was very, very close to my mom because I was the oldest boy, and I was always in charge of this and that. Mm-hmm. So she got real sick, and I decided to just stay home and go to junior college, San Jose City College, which I ended up going there. And when I was 2 years that I spent, every sport that I competed in, I won championships. I was never lost.
Wow.
Never lost from grade school to junior high school to college. And when I got to junior college, we ended up one of the best junior colleges in the nation. We were 24-1 when I played there. We had great running backs straight up. So I got recruited again to go play major college. And about that time when Vietnam was winding down, but before that, as my senior year came to Lincoln High School, there's so many protests about the Vietnam War and baby killers and all this and that. And I come from a long line of relatives who served their country out of El Paso, Texas. My uncle was in the Battle of Midway in the Navy. My other uncle was in the Battle of Guadalcanal in the Marines and stuff. So I had a long line of uncles that fought in World War II. And when this was in California, you got to understand California back then. Everybody knows the hippie acid days and all that craziness and all that peace, love, and dove and dope shit that went on over there. But the protests on the colleges and stuff. It just annoyed the crap out of me. I got so sick of it. Even when I was at San Jose City College, they started little protests there, and it really annoyed. I used to shove them to the ground and punch them out. I couldn't stand that because my uncles, what my uncles did. I've always known since I was a kid, and it almost makes me break up right now. So it got on my nerves, and I said, hell with this, man.
Yeah.
I can go back to college anytime.
Mm-hmm.
I can go play ball anytime. So I told my mom I wanted to enlist. I told her I wanted to be a Marine. She went nuts.
Yeah.
You went nuts. Yeah, I'm gonna be no damn Marine. Yeah. So we agreed on the Navy. And that's what happened. So I took my time off of football and away from college and away from all the stupidity in California, and joined the Navy and went to RTC San Diego, which is one of the Marine naval bases there. So that's where we ended up.
Wow. Well, that's great, and I want to say thank you. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Well, thank you, brother. You did the same thing I did.
Yeah.
You served one of the greatest countries in the world.
Yes, sir.
And one of the greatest nations in the world.
Yes, we did.
And we're fellow brothers in that sense, veterans. But that's what started. Then when I came home from all that, and what the prior interactions I had serving my country during the evacuation of the Vietnam War and stuff. But that's when I came home and had a lot of issues. Basically, like you, probably had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I hated people.
Yeah.
I hated the way we were received when we came home, the way people received us. We never got a welcome home and stuff like that. What were we expecting at the airports? The idiots waiting on military people to come home from wherever their station duty was or wherever they were from their deployment, sitting at the airports and with their signs and baby colors and we hate you and throwing stuff, that kind of crap.
Yeah.
So a lot of anger. A lot of anger.
Yeah.
So I kind of dwelled on that for a couple of years. And my mom got to talking to me, and when I moved back to El Paso, my hometown, where I was born, and my mom got to talking, maybe you should go back to playing football. And I said, yeah, I can't play no more. I don't want to play that game no more. And she was consistent of me trying to play. And she reached out to one of the coaches. I got recruited to wrestle and play football with a friend of mine that was a competitor against me the whole time we were in school. He went to Leland High and I went to Lincoln High. Jeff Ramona was such a great linebacker like me, an offensive guard. We both played the same position on different teams. So we would bang heads against each other all the time for 4 years, We became, even though we went to different high schools, me and Jeff Ramona became awesome friends. Yeah. Because I wrestled 191 and he wrestled 175. And at every tournament that we went to, the only two guys that would always meet in the finals from our division would be me and Jeff Ramona, Leland High and Lincoln High. And he would represent the 175s. And, of course, he would win the title 75s and I would win the title 91s. So that even drew us closer because we'd always compete with one another on the mat, not against each other in tournaments because I was heavier than him by 20 pounds. We became very close friends. And then we ended up playing junior college together at San Jose City College, which I ended up being an All-American offensive guard in junior college, and he was an All-American linebacker at junior college.
Oh, wow.
So we stuck together for all them years, and then I made that decision to join, and I talked to Jeff about it, and he said, if that's what you feel, college will always be there. And Jeff had already gone to UCLA, and he accepted the scholarship. And I told him that I couldn't. I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
So that's a good friend that I, made a decision with. Yeah. I always remember him for that. But I dealt with a lot of stuff. And one of the coaches that recruited me and Jeff really heavy at the time they were recruiting, Joe DeLuca, ended up, for whatever reason, he ended up on Bill Young's staff at West Texas State University.
Okay.
And how my mom found out about it, I really don't know. But she found out about it and she wrote him a letter. And then I was at home doing nothing and she liked to see me play football. So he contacted me and asked me just to walk on. Hey, just try, come back. Not going to hurt nothing to walk on. You have the GI Bill. They'll pay for your schooling. And just try it. There's nothing, so, I ended up doing that. I used the GI Bill to walk on the West Texas State.
Wow.
And you probably got a question, but I keep rambling on. So, the rest of the story, but I ended up walking on West Texas State.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing, and I can my parents were both served during that era as well, and my mom always said when you see a Vietnam veteran, to welcome them home because they never got the welcome they deserved and needed. So Manny, Ragin Bull Fernandez, welcome home, sir, and thank you for all you did.
Thank you, buddy.
All right,
I appreciate it. There was more. There's so many guys that came before me.
Yep.
They were there before me that, I see them when I do this little veteran stuff that I go now.
Yeah.
When I have some, sit down and talk to them. But those memories are, hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah, no, I understand. So, all right. So why don't we talk a little bit about getting involved in the pro wrestling world here?
That's what I said. The rest of the story. Well, there was West Texas State. I didn't know nothing about West Texas State.
Okay.
I just knew that I was going to go try. And I've always played sports one way, my way. I either knock the shit out of you or you knock the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I want to hit you as hard as I can, no matter what. And I don't like being second to no one, especially playing. I never played second string to nothing. I always started, excelled, and that's the attitude I had.
Yeah.
So I walked down to West Texas State. But before that, the first camp that I showed up to, the summer drills, summer two-a-days, you have to do that from West Texas practice field. We had to jog up to Buffalo Bowl, which is a stadium for new guys coming in. The way you got to see the stadium is you had to jog up there. It was a hell of a jog.
Yeah.
Got to be about 3 mile jog.
Oh,
You got to jog up there and jog back. And the first time, I was there, and that was kind of the new guy coming in. And I was there and basically didn't know my name. Most of the guys that had been at West Texas State 2 or 3 years, they all knew each other. Nobody knew who I was or basically where I was trying to make the team. So we go do this jog up there, and along the way back then, the path that you run, you went right through a ranch called the Double Cross Ranch. The Double Cross Ranch, which you know who that belonged to, right?
Yeah, the Thumps.
So we're jogging up there, and I'm jogging. Yep, I'm jogging down the hill, and here comes a guy on horseback. And he's riding along the fence line, and he's yelling at us, pick it up, and get going, big man. You need to get moving and get up there, get moving. And I turned around and looked at him. Who's this damn idiot? and everybody about stopped in their tracks and turned around and looked at me to go, shut up, shush, don't say that. What's wrong with you people? Some idiot yelling you, you're going to let me yell at you? Don't you know who that is? I said, I don't give a damn who that is. And then Kelly Kalinsky, who his dad was Gene Kalinsky, come up, first time I met him, he says, you shouldn't be talking about that man like that. That's Terry Funk, the great Terry Funk. I said, who the hell is he? He liked to shit his pants. That's I didn't really get to meet him, but that's the first time I saw him, and I called him an idiot. And everybody was like, oh, God. I didn't know he was one of the big boosters in West Texas State. He was also one of the biggest boosters. West Texas. He went there himself, So, all the way back, I was getting slack. Hey, don't say that no more. That's Terry Funk. Give a damn. I'm not give a damn. So that kind of, some of the guys kind of got offended, and they thought they would do things to me. And so a couple of guys, the senior guys, that, they knew what Funk did for West Texas State, the Funks, Murdoch and all them guys would do for West Texas. So one night they tried to rib me by coming in. They were going to dental floss my toes together. I slept with a gun under my pillow all the time. And they made the mistake because, if you come back from that kind of Vietnam stuff, you don't sleep heavy.
Right.
You learn how to sleep very lightly.
Yeah.
And every little noise will wake you up. Every little sound, you react to. You react to every little sound. Like my psych doctor tells me I'm one of those is fight or flight guys, but
Right.
you're not flight, you're fight.
Yeah.
You're a fight, not flight. And so they were doing this, trying to do this. I stuck my hand under the pillow and got that 45 and stuck it to their head. I don't think I do that. They like to shit their pants. They went and told Coach Young, and I almost got kicked off the football team before I even became a football player. West Texas State.
Oh, wow.
Coach Lucas stuck up for me and advised them that I was a Vietnam vet, and I probably have some issues. So I had to make me send the gun home, which I sent the gun home, and we dealt with that. And after that, everybody loved me. I had a lot of friends.
I bet you did. Yeah.
I had a lot of friends. So, that became the story. That story, of course, Kelly Koninsky, Big Mouth Kelly Koninsky, went and told everybody that was living in wrestling there at the time, like Jack Mulligan, Dizzy Murdoch, Terry, and Dory Funk. I did a stamp. I mean, everybody, I guess, in the wrestling world knew about this crazy guy that pulled a gun on the football player. So that got around. And stuff.
Wow.
People, just started realizing that I didn't take shit from nobody. And if you did do something like that or try anything harder than that, I would put you in the ground. I wouldn't play. I would put you in the ground. So it became the tale that everybody told, especially Kelly Koninsky. And he would, I guess he would go back and tell him everything I did because I got in fights in practice. I finally got tired of this. Oh, well, you're a third string guy, and I said, hell with this bull in the ring. I'll tell you what, I lasted 2 weeks on GI Bill, and 2 weeks after I said, I'm tired of this, I ended up on scholarship. I just beat the hell out of the guy that was in front of me. And he quit.
That's great.
I mean, I beat him in the foot with pads in the football ring.
Right.
We call it bull in the ring, two guys against each other.
Okay.
And I just beat out him.
Yeah. Wow.
I was starting guard then.
Wow.
So I got a scholarship, and those stories went around. And I did a lot of dumb shit. I was so much more mature than these guys. I did a lot of dumb shit that I learned in the military and dragging guys with my truck from behind. Murdoch used to be a bull roper, a healer, calf roping. Him and Ray Stevens, they used to calf rope and stuff. I didn't know that before that, but when I met him, I knew it. I knew they did that. So they always had these lassos, these real nice lassos. And I would put them on the hitch of my truck, on the bumper, and I'd pull guys on skis when it snowed there. And we'd be going down the center of West Texas, skiing behind my truck. I did so much, and all these stories kept going back to Terry and Dickie, and most of all Dickie.
Yeah.
Dickie thought I was nuts, and me and him became very, very close.
Yeah.
He started coming over and visiting in the dorm room, coming to practices and watching me. And even in practices, I'd get so mad at guys for being stupid. I started pounding them on the helmet. And he said, Dickie would always tell me, don't you realize they have a helmet on, idiot? What are you going to do? Hurt yourself? They got a helmet on, you idiot. That just came and became and then Terry.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, how you get brotherhoods.
Yep.
When you fight along somebody and you're fighting for your life,
yep.
You become brothers. And I hadn't had that in a long time. Dickie and me became that because Dickie would come and support, and he'd take me out drinking with him. And, I don't know. It was great. It was fantastic. He'd get on my ass if I did something wrong at the football game. He didn't miss a home game. They were in town. They didn't miss a home game. God Almighty, if I missed a block or something, and he was in the stands, I could hear him a mile away. You stupid! Yeah, I could hear him a mile away.
Yeah.
I could hear him. He gets so mad. He gets so mad at our team and stuff.
Yeah.
He was happy when we were winning. We were winning and won the conference.
Yeah.
There's been, but between Dickie and Terry, and then Terry and me became close. And some of the things we did, we used to go to the Whiskey River, and people get stupid and ask stupid questions like, "Hey, wrestling fake?" Back then they were tough guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back in the day they were very, very tough. Like right now everybody tries to compare who's the toughest or Haku and Wahoo or who's the tough. Everybody was tough back then. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody defended, protected the business. It's like I tell people, the business is so hard to get into.
Mm-hmm.
You had to know somebody with power, be second gen or third generation of.
Yeah.
I mean, to me it was not harder than getting into the mafia.
Yeah.
They were very kayfabe. Very kayfabe.
Yeah.
They protected their line of work, their livelihood. They protected one another as a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And it was so close. That's why I think I was convinced to finally say, okay, whatever, let's do this.
Yeah.
But that was a long journey between that. It was 2 years of football and then 2 years of just running up and down the road with Big Murdoch. Things that they did when him and Mulligan were running the Amarillo territory and things. And I was just a little football player at West Texas State. And basically, they're squirrel. You go pick up Andre the Giant at the airport, and I never watched wrestling. Never got into pro wrestling. Never knew. The only wrestling I did was collegiate.
Yeah.
Folk style. That's the only wrestling I ever did. That's the only thing I believe was doing. All this stuff about wrestling and stuff was never in my dreams in any part of my life. Never. Until I got to West Texas State and all these guys were wrestlers, and I used to, I didn't glorify wrestling. That's why today don't mean crap to me. I know what it is. And the people that brought me, my bloodline that made me in this business, from Murdoch and Mulligan and the Funks, that bloodline that I have, they all knew that I understood very heavily that this wrestling was just wrestling. I knew what it meant.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody had to lay down for you to make you look good, make sure you make that guy look like a million dollars.
Yeah.
I knew that rule.
Yeah.
But I never saw it as anything else than that.
Yeah.
It was not, as some of these clowns that are still out there doing it, it's their life.
Yeah.
It was never my life. It was my living.
Right.
I had a different life outside of that. I didn't sit there and gloat on, oh, you won this belt. Because, every territory I went to, I was over. I got over. I was the top guy. I was a champ. I drew money. I put asses in the sea. And that's the greatest thing that ever was told to me, and why I love this man so much, is Terry Funk sat me down one time when Murdoch finally convinced me to train and said, you got something very special. You got a charisma about you, and you could put asses in the seats. And I didn't know what he meant by that, because I never done that terminology. He says, there's something about you. I had that fire. I'd fight you on a football field, even if you had a helmet and pads on. I didn't care. I didn't care. So that's basically how when I finally, and I made them understand that. Yeah. And I understand what you're doing but Jack Briscoe put it the best when I met him and went to Florida and him and Jerry Briscoe was, Jack Briscoe put it the best. When somebody asked him about him, he just said one word, natural. That's all I can tell you about him. He's natural. That's what I said. But, when you're around the greatest, to me, I was surrounded by the greatest. Yeah.
Oh.
But what bloodlines in that?
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, 100%, Manny. It's amazing. It's amazing you were.
And I'm going to tell you something.
Please.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you were around such professionals, such well-known athletes, wrestlers of that era, that Murdoch was crazy from what I've heard stories. So when you say, I mean, West Texas guys, with Funks, they do crazy stuff. And now you talk about Jack and Jerry Briscoe. I mean, you had just such a wealth of knowledge. You were just like, I'm sure, like a sponge, just listening to them and following their directions. It's just a great story.
Yeah, not they were tough and crazy and had fun. They had fun and they loved you. Brothers of the road, we share the same load. That's a long gone model in this business. You don't realize that we used to drive everywhere. And everywhere you drove, there was one of the brothers on the side of the road broke down. You pulled over. You made sure they were all right. You made sure they got to where they were going. You made sure they were safe. That was just part of your life. It was part of you. They were part of your life, and you were part of their life. We put our lives in each other's hands, and we took care of each other. And that's long gone in this business. God, when I was in college, and after the football season, I had in between there, I had really nothing to do but work and lift and whatever. So Murdoch would take me, we'd talk about crazy. He'd take me on these road trips with him. We'd go to damn Lubbock and Odessa and Hereford, New Mexico and everything. He'd take me, make me drive. So basically, when they were on the road, Murdoch, Mulligan, and whoever rode with us, Santa Snap, Alex Perez, whatever, I was basically the beer guy. I handed him beers. And I'll never forget the first time I handed Mulligan a beer while he was driving, but I forgot to open it. And he took the beer and hit me upside the head with it. I got so damn mad. I was so mad. I jumped up like, I'm going to fight Blackjack Mulligan, 6'10", 390 pounds of muscle, right?
Yeah.
He said, you never hand a driver a closed beer. You have to open it. I said, oh, damn, okay, I'm sorry. You have to hit me with a damn beer. He said, I was just basically, I'd drink with him, but I was basically the guy that just handed him open beer. I opened the beer, handed to him, open beer. And then, it was fun. And then, I had awesome road trips. And they made me get kayfabe all the time. Now, Bishop still didn't know nothing. But every time that I got to the show, I had to sit at the very top of the bleachers in the arena and sit there and watch every match. I go, what the hell? I don't want to watch this crap. And they'd look at me and said, watch the matches. I said, all right, I'll watch the matches. And of course I didn't. I got to come down. And sometimes when I used to go to the Lubbock arena and sit up there, Baby Doll, Nicola was the promoter's daughter.
Yeah.
Baby Doll would be taking the tickets, and I'd go over there and BS with her. Sit down and BS with her while she's taking the tickets and stuff. Nick Roberts, her dad, Nick Roberts. And I'd just take the BS with her, Then I'd get caught and they'd get yelled at. So I'd have to go sit up there. But we'd go running down the road and they'd ask me questions like, okay, what happened in the first match? I go, well, I really don't know. They throw me out of the car and drive off.
Oh my God.
Tail lights. But in the night I'm standing there going, like, what the hell? Are they really going to leave me here? So that was my slow education in pro wrestling. I would watch every match, and then sooner I started watching all the matches, and sometimes I really got into them. Like, oh shit, look at that! Oh God, that hurt! Oh my God, damn, that was awesome.
Yeah.
They were that good. They were that believable.
Yeah.
They were that good. I went from a skeptic to almost going like, oh my God, these guys are doing it. Now these guys are unreal. Some matches they had, especially when I watched Mulligan and Murdoch and Holly Race and Murdoch and those guys are, tell you what, you could not see through them like you see this garbage now. 10,000 flips in the air and the guy's still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree, Bull, that, it's a lot different today. Even growing up, I watched it in the late 70s as a kid and in the 80s as a kid, and even from then to now it's just so much more the kayfabe is gone, unfortunately, and the believability is gone, where you actually when, and we'll get into this later, when you turned on Jimmy and all that, and we'll get into that a little bit later, that was so believable. It was, it a lot, you ticked a lot of people off, I know, and but it was believable. And that's the
You know-
missing component today because, well, somebody turns on somebody, well, okay, it's not as relevant as it was back in the
Back
days.
in the day.
Yeah, back when you did it.
Yeah.
And that's a missing
Yeah. When I
component. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
when I saw that first angle like that, when Mulligan turned on Murdoch, and I'm like going, these are my two mentors right now, and I can't believe they're doing that. What the hell am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? What I got to do? I don't want to offend either one of them, and I can't believe Blackjack did that. And it was so damn believable.
Yeah.
I was so mad because I was stuck in a spot. I didn't know what direction to go in at the time because they were both training me.
Yeah.
And so was Terry, so was Norris, and so was Dennis Stamp. And everybody wanted a chance to come in and put their little piece. Even Jerry and Nick Kozak. I was training the Amarillo Civic Center, and they all wanted to share their knowledge with me, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
But I said, well, you basically you're doing everything because you do it naturally. I knew how to do arm drag. That's what I did in wrestling in high school. Bull hip tosses, because one of my biggest moves in high school in 191s was sucking you in for a hip toss and putting you on your back. And all that kind of stuff. And that was one of those kids. A lot of the guys back in my era in the 70s in wrestling were just the biggest guy on the football team, put them at that weight. And they really weren't, they tried to out-muscle you and stuff like that. I got into learning it, the moves and everything. I started wrestling my 112-pounder, 120-pounder, 95-pounder because of the speed. And I learned the speed from them, how to sprawl and get away from people. And that's what I was doing professionally. The speed and my agility to get up and down. It was so natural, as Jack Briscoe said. But getting back to that situation on turning, I mean, I was stuck in the middle. But along came this guy one day that turned out to be one of my closest friends ever. And I missed him so much when he would left the territory. The day that, like I said, that I was a little squirrel running around. One day they asked me to go pick up Andre the Giant at the airport. And, I read about the Giant. I saw the posters and everything. But I was still skeptical. I go, that guy can't be that big. Nah, they're full of crap. They're full of crap. He's probably big, but not that big. He can't be that big. And I told him, if this guy's that big, I got a Formula Trans Am. How the hell am I going to get him in that car? You got to ask him that. Can I take one of your trucks? I said, no, take your car. I said, I'm not going to put a Giant in my car. You ever seen a Formula Trans Am? Yeah, it's not that big.
No, it's not.
It's not that big. So okay, I go out to the airport in Amarillo, and I'm still skeptical. Oh, he can't be that big. So I'm sitting there waiting for him to come down the terminal, down the runway or terminal down there. And I'm sitting down on the damn bench. I look up, and I see a guy like 2 feet above everybody else. I go, oh my God. He is that big. He was 2 feet above everybody else walking on the terminal. Wow. I go, oh my God, this is going to be unreal. So I told him, sir. I go, my name is Manny Fernandez, sir. He goes, okay, boss. I go, no. Oh, I'm not the boss. I'm not. Anyway, I'm just here to pick you up. And he goes, okay, boss. I didn't realize he called everybody that, right?
Yeah.
So I said, again, I'm not the boss. I said, all I got is a little Trans Am. And so what happens is to get him into the Trans Am, I had to take one of my key pads off so he could sit on the passenger.
Oh, my God.
And he took the key off, scoot the seat all the way back, and he was up against the Datsun's legs. And he was so happy. I mean, it was like the movie Gator. You ever seen that movie Gator with Burt Reynolds and that guy?
Yeah.
That was me. That was me and Andre. But it was a Trans Am.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going down. I pick him up. I got about 30-mile drive to Canyon with officers to bring Andre. And the first thing out of his mouth when we get in the car and get going, hey, boss, you can find liquor store. I go, I'm not the boss. I'm just here to, you can call me boss. And so I find a liquor store, and that's 30-mile trip. We drank a 12-pack of beer and a little quart of tequila.
Oh, my gosh.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I said, holy shit. This guy's going to fall out of the car. So we get to the office there, and I'm nothing happened. He just walked straight as an arrow. I said, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
this man could drink that much." He, when he was in the territory for 2 weeks, I had to be his squirrel. I got his driver.
Yeah.
And it's still in the Trans Am, but I drove him to every town, and he a case of beer, a long drive, case of beer, quarter tequila, case of beer, half a quart jug.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God! And he want me to drink. No, I'm driving. And he goes, "No, you drink, boss. Everybody drinks." I was like, "Oh wow."
Yeah.
But one of the funniest, I had such a great time with him for 3 years. We became so close.
Yeah.
It was glad to see him. He's a big guy,
Yeah.
beautiful person,
Yeah.
biggest heart ever, beautiful person. He loved playing his cribbage. Him and Murdoch loved playing that cribbage for money. He loved playing that, but I had a great relationship with Andre. He was a beautiful person.
Yeah.
And one thing I could tell people about him, in his youth, back in the 70s, 76, 77,
Yeah.
78, when he was coming in Amarillo, that man could wrestle.
Yeah.
That man could wrestle. He took bumps, he could arm drag, hip toss. That man could wrestle.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that a man that big could do all the stuff he was doing, bumps over the top rope, stuff like that. I thought he was just going to be, a giant monster, not be able to do nothing. Yeah, just sit there and be the monster that he is.
Yeah.
Unreal. Unreal matches.
Wow.
Unreal matches. Mulligan, unreal matches. Harley, I mean, he just surprised me.
Yeah.
A guy that big can actually wrestle that good.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I've heard stories about him and wrestling and drinking. So let's talk a little bit about your nickname. You got your Ragin Bull. Now, I'd like to know, I'm sure our fans would, of how that name came about.
But, like I said, everything started in Amarillo.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that when I was playing football at Amarillo, and after the games, we'd go to Scotland Yard or all the disco places back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody mouths off to one of the football players. I had a little group of football players that, consisted of Kelly Kaninsky, Gene Kaninsky's son, Scott Braden, and Adolfo's son. A little clique of guys that liked me the most. But, all the team got along with me because they knew I was going to put up for their crap.
Right.
Everybody was basically, but I had a couple of guys that would run around with me to the bars, along with, go hang out with Murdoch and everybody, because we were the football team and they liked to see us.
Yeah.
But when we don't go to the private bars, we sometimes go to the disco bars and stuff. And if somebody said somebody to one of my guys on my clique, my little clique, my gente, as I was taught when I was growing up, that's your gente, you take care of them.
Yeah.
And you said something to one, I'll beat the hell out of you. I'll beat the hell. And where do we get around?
Yeah.
Where do we go back? Hey, man, he got another bar fight. Hey, man, he got another bar fight. And when I come train, they'd ask me, so what'd you do this weekend? Where'd you go? Anything happen? Of course, I'd lie because I knew what they were going to do.
Yeah.
I knew I'd be doing push-ups, sit-ups forever and ever and run the ring rope. I'd be doing for us. Nothing, man. I had a good time. We got there. Oh, no fights? No fights. You lying little bastard. And this went on. And then they put their Hindu squats. I get all this punishment, doing all these like to drill Hindu squats and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
One day I had a big fight. It was a big fight at Scotland Yard. There was like 20 people involved. And I was throwing people through glass windows and over the bar and stuff. And the cops got involved and stuff. And of course, because of the Funks, everybody knew the Funks and Murdoch. Yeah. None of us got in trouble.
Right.
Because a couple of people got hurt pretty good. But we didn't, because we had that pull. They had the pull, I should say. And we always got in trouble. When I went to train in Amarillo, I got chewed out. And that's when Murdoch said, "Who the hell do you think you are? A Ragin Bull going out boxing every night trying to beat up people every damn night? You won't go to jail. You're going to end up in jail. Is that where you want to be? You want to be a jailbird? No. You need to quit the damn fighting so much. That damn Ragin Bull." And I guess
stuck. So Dick Murdoch
gave
you that name.
He was mad at me.
Hey, but it's stuck.
It's stuck. Everybody like.
Yeah.
I tried not to, but people, even when I went to Florida, I kind of kayfabed it, and because until I started getting in bar fights in Florida, then it started to pop up again. But yeah, I had a great baptism.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every bit of
Yeah.
the training. I got beat up. I'll tell you that's the truth. These people train nowadays. But if I did something wrong, I got beat up. I got stretched. People know how to handle themselves back then, Larry Lane would come in. And I knew how to shoot on people. Everybody knows I knew how to shoot on people. But, these guys were good, too. They were hookers. They knew how to get to me, how to grab this certain hole and that certain hole, which eventually they taught me, right? But they knew how to hook me up, and, they taught me right. And I earned their respect because it wasn't a given. Here, I'm going to show you how to do this. I had to earn it. I had to earn every bit of it.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
That's why I respect it.
Yeah. Well, you're in the business, during, to me, the heyday, the golden era, the late 70s into the 80s, early 90s. You worked with a lot of great people. If I just, Dusty Rhodes, you were tag team champion with him. A lot of your time.
Oh, that's a story in its own.
Well, let's hear it.
That's a story of its own. Well, like I said, if people would have been brought up like me, they'd probably respect the business more, protect it more. As I still do today. I will never stop protecting this business.
Right.
I know it is, but I know that the people that started me would want me to do the same thing. As they do this, they still, when I go see Terry, he still think the business is a shit now because of this. But, as I was getting along to the point where they thought I was good enough, Jay Dillon came in to be assistant booker with Murdoch, and they thought that, hey, this kid's getting good enough, so let's get him out of here. And the first thing Murdoch and Mulligan said, well, let's send him up there to Eddie Graham in Florida. That's a hell of a territory for Hispanic guys.
Yeah.
And he's got that fire and charisma to get to help to, probably draw the Hispanic people in. So, they send me to Florida. My first territory.
Okay.
To this day, because of the people, outside of Amarillo where I started, the first territory I went to was, they sent me to was Florida with Eddie Graham.
Okay.
I get to Eddie Graham, I went to Florida, and that's where I learned a lot too from the guys, tough ass guys like Phil Matsuda and Jack Terry. But I get to Florida, and they said, check in, tell them who you are. They'll be expecting you. Make sure you always have your wrestling bag. To this day, I still have my wrestling bag in the car.
Oh,
wow! You always have
Okay.
it with you. I don't use it. I don't use it anymore.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
It's just a habit. A habit you build up years. And I got there and I met an old timer named Charlie Lay. He was at the door, and Charlie Lay wrestled in the 40s, 30s, and 40s, one of the tough old birds.
Yeah.
And I come in and introduce myself to old Charlie Lay. I'm my name, and I say, oh, yeah, we're expecting you. We're expecting you. Go ahead, go through them curtains there. Go over there. Go ahead and get suited up. I go, what? I'm just recording you. Go ahead and get suited up. And I go ahead and get suited up. I went out to the wrestling ring, and when I stepped out of the ring, first guy sitting there was Gordon Soley. I didn't know who he was at all. I didn't know that he was a comic guy. I didn't watch wrestling. Still to this day, I don't watch wrestling. It was Gordon Soley, and he introduced himself. I introduced myself. Got to talk a little bit. And pretty soon they said, they'll be down in a minute. I go, they'll be down in a minute. And I sat there and I waited, and all of a sudden the door opened up above the ring, or how the room above the ring there. And down the stairs came a big fat guy with blonde hair, dusty, and behind him was Eddie Graham. And behind him was two guys that I didn't know. But when they came down, they introduced themselves as Jack and Jerry Briscoe. And we all know how tough they were in college and amateur. So that was my introduction to the Florida territory. get in the ring with Jack and Jerry Briscoe. I didn't get stretched too much. I fought backing up, but they were damn good. They were damn good.
Yeah.
And I learned lessons. They learned lessons, and when I got through with that, they come out and they looked at Graham, Eddie Graham, who I didn't know was the owner, promoter, whatever. I just thought he was a little dude, or probably was a tough little dude. And I just kept looking. Yeah, Dusty was the first impression. I said, okay, he's the booker, so you have respect for that.
Yeah.
And, later on, the greatest thing about Florida and me was learning from Jack and Jerry Briscoe.
Yeah.
They took me under their wing. I went to every show with them in their Dominican Continental. I'm pretty sure everybody heard the story about us flipping the Continental 3 times in midair.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. When they used to drug me and putting stuff in my beer, I'd pass out. They'd tote me off in my car and leave the doors open and stuff. The Briscoes played so many ribs on me because they heard the stories of Amarillo.
Yeah.
They would leave me on the side of the road, stuff like that. They'd get out, we all got a piss, and jump the car real fast and take off. But I love Jack Briscoe. Jack Briscoe, he was one of the greatest. He was so smooth. I call him smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth operator. And, they gave that later on to Rude. I used to call Jack that because of his wrestling style.
Mm-hmm.
He was so damn smooth. And I used to have 6-man tags with the Briscoes, and their big deal was to put me in the middle so they could both slap me in the face when the referee catch. That was their big thrill. And I always knew what was coming.
Yeah.
I always knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't take that away from them because that was their big deal,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't feel I should take that away from them.
Yeah.
They took care of me, they taught me stuff. Dusty took care of me, but Dusty was always about Dusty. I always, what I learned my 2 years in Florida was that man's ego was bigger than the moon.
Yeah.
He was about it. He brought me up as his tag team partner in Florida, kept me. He knew what I could do in Florida. I got finally got my shot to me. I had so many great matches. Oh my God. Me and Harley Race with so many 1 hour Broadways, 190-minute Broadway. And he was so fantastic. And Harley Races, we had 11 matches against each other. He never was the same. He ain't Ric Flair. Ric Flair sucks. Compared to Harley Race, I wrestled Harley Race 11 times at 190-minute Broadway.
Wow.
And not one match was the same. Not one match.
Wow.
And the way he worked the people, the way he controlled it, is like he told me, don't worry about it, kid. You just do your job, and I'll be the puppet master. I'll pull the strings, and we'll get the people off their ass. And he was right.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. And to this day, I praise Harley Race. I had matches with Flair. He sucked. I didn't care. He never wrestled that man again.
Yeah.
He sucked big time in my book.
Yeah.
He sucked. But I don't like ass kissers. Either you do your job, if you're good enough to be on top, then your talent should carry you. Shouldn't be a brown-nosed ass kisser. That's the way it is in business.
Yeah.
But Florida was a fantastic education for me. I got so educated about Dusty and his ego. It has to be Dusty. But eventually he burned down the territory. Eventually gets home,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Jack and Jerry Briscoe, I'll always love to this day.
Mm-hmm.
We did so many crazy things together, flipping the car over, peeing on my legs, getting out, be in the middle between them. We stop for a piss stop, and I'm peeing, and all of a sudden they're peeing on both legs. I was a rookie. I took all the ribs because I was a rookie. Back then, the rookie understood you're going to get ribbed by the veteran.
Yeah.
And they're going to be, there's going to be, harsh, not bad ribs, but they peeing on your legs, a little harsh, but, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's all funny. It's a thrill. It happens.
Yeah.
It's just, that's part of business is gone forever.
Yeah.
That kind of love and friendship and continuity that everyone had with one another is missing.
Yeah.
And they don't understand how much fun and closeness that it brought to the guys on the road, how much it brought to one another. I remember going down the roads and highway, shooting shotguns over at Humperdinck in Bugsy McGraw's car. Barry Windham was pumping the shots. Boom, boom, boom. Me and Barry Windham. I had a little Volkswagen pickup truck, and I hit something on the road, and I flipped that pickup truck, me and Barry in it 10 times.
Oh,
10
wow.
times we flipped, and it was fast. Humperdinck and Bugsy McGraw luckily, like I said, the brothers look out for you.
Yeah.
Slam stopped and helped us, and luckily me and Barry survived. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, that was a horrible incident, but
Yeah.
we survived that because all the boys on the road were concerned, and all came back, and were there, rushed to the scene, and I mean, what these guys don't understand that.
Yeah.
They don't have that brotherhood. They don't have that camaraderie. They don't have that going back to what we had and you had in the military.
Yeah.
You know that guy's gonna be by your side no matter what.
Yeah.
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 That guy's gonna be by your side no matter what.
Yeah. That's true.
That was a fun territory for me.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit, if we can, Manny. You were big. You were over in Florida. You were over in the Mid-Atlantic. You were over pretty much everywhere, but Southwest. You were over. I mean, everywhere you went, you were over. But there was a particular couple incidents. The famous one is when you turned on Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant and went with Paul Jones Army, and for you were a baby face. Up until that time, what was that like for you after? I mean, as soon as you did that, and it went probably full circle. But what was that like for you? What that emotion?
Yeah, going back to the story I told you about watching Mulligan turn on Murdoch.
Yeah.
Remember I told you about that?
Yep.
I was angry. That it was so real to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I told him that when we decided to do that. I told Boogie, "Hey, dude, remember this. To me, this is gonna be real. You're gonna get hit. So prepare to get it." I knew how easy Jimmy Valiant was. Easy, he was so easy, and he barely touched you and all that. That's not me. Anybody will tell you. If you listen to an interview Barbarian had lately on a podcast, they were asking about me. He goes, "Oh, Manny Fernandez, you heady stiff. That's Manny. You got to work with Manny like that. That's the way Manny is.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Yeah.
That's how I was." So I advised him when that I kind of liked the angle, and a lot had to do with Rick Rude being in the territory and the way they were treating him. And I like Rick Rude. I thought he was cool. We had a good relationship, right?
Yeah.
And that's what Dusty was doing with him. So Dusty's idea of putting us together, thinking that Rude couldn't work and I could carry the team, which he was wrong, very wrong.
Right.
Rude could carry his own, but I told Boogie before that, I said, "Dude, this is gonna be like real. I'm telling you right now. It's not going to be no powder puff. You're going to get hit. I'm going to knock the shit out of you. So prepare yourself for it." I told him that right off the back.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody says I literally did knock the shit out of him. I already knew that going in, and I kind of accept that,
Yeah.
And he accepted that that's who I am. I'm going to knock the shit out of you. If this is going to get done, it's got to be real. Got to be real.
Yeah.
And, I with the thing about Rude, I really liked the thought of teaming with the guy. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. But, that went on, and Jimmy Valiant got hit. And that's why people reacted to it.
Yeah.
People reacted, tried to stab me. I've been stabbed twice already, but, in Texas territory. But, people really they tried to kill me. I didn't think it was going to be until Tommy Young saw the crowd go silent. Tommy Young is the one that came up to me and goes, "Manny, go to the dressing room." I said, "For what?" Not happening. He goes, "No, you got white heat." I go, "White heat? What the hell is that?" He goes, "These people are going to erupt and go crazy if you're not get to the dressing room." So I took his word and I started going. That's when everybody exploded. All of a sudden, shit, I had to fight my way back, It went nuts. I went, holy shit. I guess that was real. People waited outside of the Independence Coliseum. Waited. I had to have a cop escort, and a woman pulled a gun on me.
Oh, my gosh.
They took it that serious. It was,
Yeah.
You're right. It was believable. But the biggest joy I got out of that was knowing that I could team up with Rude. Like I said, I liked him. Of course, Dusty didn't think he could work.
Yeah.
So that was our biggest rib. Mine and Rude's biggest rib was, when we had Rock and Roll Express, we went these hour Broadways, and I ended up wrestling for 40-some minutes, and I jumped Rude's ass. I said, "Dude, we're tag team. You need to work. I can't be going 40 and you going 10. He said, No. You remember what they said? You're the worker. I'm the gimmick, so you work that gimmick."
Oh.
I had the greatest relationship with him.
Yeah.
I had one of the most awesome relationships in the business with Rick. Besides my mentors, the guys that I love to this day and lost, I still love the people that I love. One of the greatest relationships I had in the business was with Rick.
Yeah.
Especially when he made the decision to leave. You know, at least he confided in me, and you know, I love him to this day. I think me and him had some great matches against Rock and Roll Express. I mean, they were
Yeah, you did.
Ricky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
Ricky.
did.
And then we had some fun and great matches against the Road Warriors because we all knew each other, liked each other, respected each other, because we're all tough. We're all tough. You're gonna hit me hard, I'm gonna hit you harder. Then I hit you harder. Then I hit you harder. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then of course we had the matches. Me and Rude learned to adapt everyone. Rock and Roll Express, Road Warriors, Dusty, Nikita. And I hated Nikita. So I really had to adjust to that. I couldn't stand him. You know, I wanted to beat the hell out of him every time. And Dusty said, that name. Yeah, I had a love-hate relationship with Dusty because everywhere that Dusty would book a territory, he would bring me in as one of the top guys. Yeah. I got the Rhythm Fire and everything. But of course I knew that eventually he'd find somebody else. See, I'm not like these gullible guys like Magnum TA and all that. Dusty's the greatest, whatever. Dusty's not stupid. If he sees that somebody's getting over with the people more, he brings them into his partner. Oh, he's my partner. Yeah. So now that gives Dusty another little boost. You know what I mean? Yeah. Gives him his little boost. That's what I learned from him in Florida. I mean, when he tapped and saved me a couple times with Harley and all that stuff, you know, I knew what was going on. So I always knew about his ego and stuff. So, you know, I was all into that. But like I said, one of the biggest turns here in Timmy Valiant was fun, but I couldn't work with him.
Yeah.
I couldn't be that soft. It was impossible for me to be that soft in the ring.
Yeah.
You know, but he was a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, understand that. Well, eventually you moved into the AWA up in Vern Gagne's territory in the late '80s, and you had a pretty good feud with Wahoo McDaniel. Now you did strap matches and all that, and what was your relationship like with him? I mean, you guys worked together, obviously, but was it a pretty good one, or how'd that work out?
Oh my God, I met Wahoo McDaniel in Miami, Florida, in 1979 or was it 80? It was one of those years when they brought in. We had a show Miami, Florida, and I had who ended up being Kabuki, but at that time was Mr. Polo. I had a big hair match in hair versus whatever against Kabuki. Wahoo was booking the Southwest Territory for Joe Blanchard. And they brought Wahoo in because he was over in Florida for a long time, and so was Watts. So there was a big show. And both of them were booking. Watts had Mid-Atlantic, Mid-South. I'm sorry, Mid-South. And I watched the match, and Wahoo had already watched things about me, had heard about me, stuff like that from the West Texas days, right? He went to West Texas up Funks, and I guess he talked to people. So he kind of knew my background. I had one of the greatest conversations that night with Wahoo McDaniel about coming to coming to San Antonio, working for Joe Blanchard. And he was telling me, you know, they're big Hispanic people in San Antonio and the way I worked and the fire and the beat. I really got, you know, I was interested. I wanted to leave Florida, number one, because I already knew what Dusty was doing after this, especially with the Harley Race deal, the last Tango in Tampa and all that good crap that he did. So, you know, I was interested in that, and I really had a great conversation about giving my notice and going there. And then, of course, there was Bill Watts, who came over and talked to me and talked about the Mid-South and, you know, all around there. And at that time, we had a guy named Buck Robley booking for him. And Bill Watts was kind of, you know, cocky, you know, kind of like standoffish. I just kind of, I didn't take to him like I took to Wahoo. I took to Wahoo. And so that conversation led to me having this hair deal. I knew Dusty was going to let me use my hair, so I was prepared for that. To be Dusty, you know. So, you know, that kind of gave me a bad taste in my mouth. But I did it properly. I went in and, gave my notice. Told them I was leaving for got an offer from San Antonio. I gave my notice, and I didn't know at that time that Eddie Graham had fired Dusty and hired Dory Funk Jr. as the book.
Yeah.
So it was kind of in transition when I said, well, and Dory says, well, you'll be talking to me on the book. So I turned around and I was like, should I? Oh, maybe I should take this back because of what he did to me, what he did for me in that role.
Yeah.
Maybe I should say, okay, well, I'm saying, but I didn't.
Yeah.
He understood that I wanted to move on. I was there 2 years, and he thanked me. He said, "You're going to finish up with me. You dropped the belt." And I said, "No problem." I was taught that professionally.
Yeah.
When you leave, you do the right thing.
Right.
You do the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I was inserted into my mind and installed in me.
Yeah.
And I did the right thing, dropped the belt, and, lost the story, lose the town. And I left and went to San Antonio. I get to San Antonio, had a great start. Watched, Southwest Wahoo was a great booker.
Mm-hmm.
And then having fun with Wahoo for a month, I didn't know what happened with Tully and Wahoo. And Dickie Slater was in the territory at that time. Something happened, with Wahoo and Tully and Gino or something.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is all of a sudden later, I'm just starting to enjoy this booking with Tiger Conway Jr. was there, Chavo Guerrero, and I had some great talent around me.
Yeah.
Great talent, very young Tom Pritchard, and Scott Casey. But Wahoo was gone.
Wow.
All of a sudden we show up to do TV, and Joe introduces Dickie as a booker. And I knew Dickie, I had a great program with Dickie and Ford. I loved Dickie Slater. He was crazy. I loved the way he worked. Hell of a worker.
Yeah.
He was like a second coming of Terry Funk.
Yeah.
His style was just like Terry, and I love Terry.
Yeah.
So I had a good run with Dick Slater as the booker there.
Yeah.
Had a good run, and it was Wahoo, and I missed Wahoo. He gave me an opportunity, and I loved Wahoo from day one. Loved him and respected him from day one.
Yeah.
And AWA, and when we started our feud in Mid-Atlantic, me and Wahoo, Wahoo was heel, and I wrestled Wahoo. That's when the feud started.
Okay.
And I became heel, and he was baby. We kept it going.
Yeah.
And that feud that we started in Mid-Atlantic ended up in AWA.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that it was going to be turned up a notch.
Yeah.
It had to be turned up a notch.
Yeah.
So that's when we had those brutal battles where we beat the living crap out of each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's we beat the living crap out of each other.
Yeah. I've watched them. I watched Super Clash 3 the other day again when you had the Indian strap match. And you guys were bloody to a pulp, and I don't know how you walked out of there, but whew, yeah.
Dude, I'm going to tell you something right now. One time we were going so hard at Papa, he broke my nose. He dropped that chop on my nose, and I was laying down. He missed it, broke my nose. And then I told him, "Is that the best you can do, damn it?" And he grabbed that damn strap, and he whipped me so damn hard. I literally had a damn welt on my back for 2 weeks. He hit me that damn hard. And I said, "Don't do that again." I was kidding. We beat the. Those are wars.
Yeah.
Even the boys in the back, the young guys, the Beverly boys, Mike Venus and Wayne Moon.
Yeah, destruction.
All
crew
them
there,
young boys back there. Yeah, all them young back there. Even the young was the Patriot. Yeah, Wilkes.
Yep.
He was back there, and everybody. He goes, when I come back, they go, "Holy shit, man!
Yeah.
You guys are trying to kill each other."
Yeah.
I remember we're not supposed to do it that way. I said, "Yeah, I know. Tell him that." I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And we had battles and independent shows. They all around California and Havana. We had some. I don't think I respected. I said, he was one of the men I respected in his business more than anyone. He was a tough. I mean, tough.
Yeah.
That was a good, tough human being.
Yeah. No doubt. A couple more questions here. Out of all the places that you worked, what was one of the most favorite places that you really enjoyed working at, promotion-wise?
Personally, I could tell you this. Everywhere I went, even from Kansas City territory when I went, Harley Race brought me in because of everything he did for me in Florida. When his territory was down, he asked me if I'd come in and work the territory, even though it was down and people weren't making that much money.
Yeah.
And for what he did for me, even that territory that was down and we struggled a little bit till I got the belt and it became hot and started drawing money. Even that territory, I was happy. Everywhere I went, I was happy. The thing about this is I was surrounded with so much great talent underneath me. I mean, I had great talent in San Antonio with Chavo and Tiger Conway Jr., Scott Casey, young Tom Pritchard. I mean, Tully and Gino, Tully Bonte Jr. has heels. I was surrounded. The same thing in Florida. I had, Dusty was there. Of course, Dusty was there. Jack and Jerry were there. Steve Kern, Jimmy Corbin, Mike Graham. I mean, there were so many daggone good talents around me and so many damn good heels as we brought in for me when I had the belt. Tom Morocco.
Yeah.
Tom Morocco in Florida was unbelievable. I could beat that man every night. He'd have more heat than anybody on the card. Everywhere. He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. And the matches I had with him were out of this world. One of the greatest heels probably ever in the business. But everywhere I went, everywhere I went, the Mid-Atlantic was surrounded with talent. Everywhere I went, I can't say I had, even where I started in the Amarillo territory, you're talking about talent. You're talking about Blackjack Mulligan, Big Murdoch, Dory Funk, Terry Funk, people they brought in, Andre the Giant, Harley Race. I mean, I had the blessing of working with the best heels in this business that ever put on a pair of boots.
Oh, yeah.
It's Nick Bachman. Oh, my God. Even, don't forget Nick Bachman. Ray Stevens. Ray Stevens was one of the greatest workers I ever seen. Unbelievable worker.
Yeah.
Right? And I had joys of teaming up with Ray in Florida and AWA.
Yeah.
I mean, these people, this generation will never get that. You can't sit down and say, well, I work this guy, this guy, this guy. And every name you name is a legend.
Yeah.
Every name you name was the biggest attraction all the way around the world, in Japan, wherever. Boozer Brody, Stan Hansen.
Yeah.
Me and Bobby Duncan, Boozer Brody, Stan Hansen in San Antonio. I mean,
Yeah.
it was,
The who's who.
I was blessed with that.
Yes.
Yeah, who's who.
Yeah,
I was
who's
blessed
who.
with that.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Manny. One more question, sir, if we can. What are you up to nowadays?
Oh, God. Let me see. I'm recovering from total hip surgery, hip replacement surgery, and total knee replacement surgery.
Oh,
So I'm just taking it easy, being enjoying life, watching football, college football, the games, and, just chilling. I lost my service dog. I got a service dog, emotional support dog that I had for almost 8 years. He passed away on me.
I'm sorry.
And that was hard.
Yeah.
That was hard. I mean, one of the great Bill Apter, I'll tell you this, the great Bill Apter did a memorial for my Reg. Everybody in the business, everybody that was somebody in this business that I went did conventions with, the first words out of their mouth was Reggie. I said, where's Reggie? Where's your little Reggie? Reggie was so loved in the business by the guys that loved me and respected me, and I respected them.
Yeah.
The first words out of their mouths every time they saw me, hey, where's Reggie? So it was hard for me this past August when I went to the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame to induct Dan Severn. I inducted Dan Severn in there.
Okay.
It was really hard for me to hold it in when everybody there that knew Reggie, every single person that was there would come up, hey, where's Reggie? How's Reggie? Where's Reggie?
Oh.
That was kind of hard. So right now I'm waiting because of COVID, this COVID crap, the PTSD service dogs, the foundation that gives service dogs to the veterans is so behind on funds and stuff because of COVID that I have to wait after the first of the year to maybe find me another little Reggie, another little beautiful service dog. And that's what I'm waiting on. It's just recovering and enjoying life, enjoying life,
Yeah.
And I got conventions that I go to. I pick and choose.
Yeah.
If I don't want to go, it's not a necessity. It's not a need.
Yeah.
I could care less what people think or this legend crap don't mean shit to me. You know,
Yeah.
legends. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. I believe legends are buried in Arlington Cemetery. That's the legend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I can agree with that. Yes, sir. I can.
But, you know, all that other crap don't mean nothing. I get, you know, lifetime achievement awards, and I think the greatest thing, a guy named Michael Terry in Pennsylvania, he made a plaque. He honored me with a plaque from the Vietnam Memorial of all and soldiers, exactly like they have in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing I got. That's the only thing I display in my house.
That's
The only
awesome.
thing I display in my house, that. I don't display anything else. Wrestling is what it was.
Yeah.
It's not like I said, it was never in my life.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here today, Manny. Ladies and gentlemen, Ragin Bull, Manny Fernandez. Sir, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Honor to talk to you. And love to do it again sometime.
Yeah. Look, thank you so much, and God bless you and your family.
Thank you, and same to you. And folks, if you're listening, thank you. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and we will talk to you soon.